It's a pleasure for me to read the results of the joint effort in the last 7 months.
Well, we're very grateful that you've completed your job. Time, I should think. And you've had also to take in the fact that we want a crash program, because of our program with hopefully setting up Malta for offshore business, and that is taken account of, I understand.
Very much so.
There's a short-term crash program, which will see to our needs in the future.
In a 2-year period, modernisation of digital exchanges, the international exchange, which is fundamental for revenue earning in long distance trade. There's another element of the plan there dealing with necessary synchronisation, which is high-speed data transfer, which is fundamental to supporting and servicing various elements of activity.
It should put us in the modern age. As compared. Well, I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your personal interest in this venture.
Thank you. We remain at your service.
I'm sorry I have to rush off because I have to continue presiding a cabinet meeting.
See you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's all right, I don't mind. Well, we're off to lunch, really. Okay.
We're doing a press release in Geneva today.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Butler, you have just presented to the Prime Minister a long-term development plan on telecommunications in Malta. What is a development plan in telecommunications?
Well, a development master plan is really a planning tool covering the technical, financial, economic and management aspects to enable governments to identify key elements as guidelines in the total strategy of modernisation of telecommunication network. It provides an overall technical plan, for example, the objective of doubling the density of telephones, which is an important element of social and economic progress and a contributor to development over the period up to the year 2000, which would take, I think, telephone density in Malta to some 50 per 100 customers or subscribers, as we used to call them. On a technical side, the plan includes the numbering scheme. Every individual user has to have a number. This is a statistical exercise, but it's fundamental to the economies in planning telephone exchanges and their location. There's a question of a transmission plan. There's a question of how do you route and switch calls in areas and adjoining areas. There's the access to the international telecommunication network. There's the signalling plan, which represents the, shall we say, the instrument of dialogue between telephone exchanges. And then with a fast-growing reliance on data and rapid information transfer, there has to be synchronisation of digital equipment, because in reality the telephone network of tomorrow, it's already today in some countries, but tomorrow in Malta is in really a huge array of bit streams of voice and data and recorded message all mixed up in the same transmission paths, and there has to be a great deal of attention paid to the synchronisation. One can have a loss of synchronism in voice because you can clip or cut the effect of a word, but you can't clip or cut the effect of a piece of information fast moving over transmission systems.
How long did it take the ITU experts to work out this development plan for Malta?
Well, I would prefer to put it, how long did it take the ITU with the full cooperation of Telecom Malta to work out this development. I suppose it could be said we began to develop statistics and information and interchange ideas with some 12 specialists on our side, including in coastal radio communication, from about last July, and there was a constant interface between these specialists who came here for short periods, set up work programs with the Telecom Malta staff, had wider discussions within the government, and came to conclusions. And that work was completed in fairly record time, over a period of about 5 or 6 months. What I think has been a remarkable achievement is that in parallel with the ITU specialists, we've had many other detail functions being performed. One today, for example, the Telecom Malta or the government authority concerned in fact called bids for equipment from a number of major suppliers, 7 or 8 I believe, for international telephone exchange, which is vital from 2 points of view, giving Maltese people, and I might say the Maltese community abroad and business, the opportunity of greater telecommunication to and from Malta. There is a tremendous suppressed demand, there is a reliance on other people's networks, and a lot of this will be eased, at the same time produce extra revenue in the years to come to provide the basis of extra investment. There is the tenders were invited for the supply of modern digital telephone exchanges, for the supply of both digital radio and fibre optic cable as part of the modernisation. There is, shall we say, a special emphasis on the first 2 years of both new and extension of facilities, and in the longer term investment running up to the year 2000 of well over $250 to $270 million, I believe, averaging something like $18 million a year. All of this has been done in the course of 6 or 7 months, including the detailed documentation, which naturally takes time, and in a way which in other occasions would have been perhaps 18 months to 2 years.
Mr. Butler, the plan is jointly sponsored by the ITU and the UN Development Plan. How will these two organizations contribute towards the implementation of this plan?
Well, first of all, the plan was prepared as a result of cooperation of the United Nations Development Programme, for which the ITU is the specialised agency and the United Nations system is the executing partner. To that was added contributions to the voluntary programme of the ITU, and I pay tribute to the resources which were key resources for short-term periods provided by Brazil and Italy, plus the group of engineers of the General Secretariat that provide short-term advisory services, particularly as regards the specifications. when it comes to the next stage, the ITU and the UNDP are not investment authorities, but we've provided the basic groundwork on which Malta, as part of the bids and response to the bids, will be looking at various financial options, I'm sure, including funding from the multilateral authorities like the European Investment Bank. There's one possibility, and I'm sure there are others. Let's wait and see. But the groundwork has been provided for the investment, including from within Malta itself as well as abroad.
Mr. Butler, the ITU has chosen as the theme for its 1988 World Telecommunications Day the transfer of technological know-how. What is the message behind this theme?
Well, one of the pressing issues is having recognised the importance of the sector as a key element in future prosperity and in development, and I use development in its widest sense, we then have to get results. Now, it's important in the planning and management of telecommunications that new methodology and techniques which have evolved as a parallel to technological advance be applied, and this demands various actions involving the exchange of information, exchange of views on experiences, and also in practical technical application. Like in the ITU, we are a tremendous clearinghouse of information. We are a source of contribution to improvement of training, training facilities, a source for improvement in methodology and planning of networks, which more and more take on essential ingredients of computerised assistance and these sorts of things.
How can developing countries such as ours benefit from this transfer of technology?
Well, first of all, I've just touched on a key area of raising the capacity of local people themselves. And we have a number of programs in this, and we've had very good cooperation with Malta on these matters. Malta is an active participant in a European project, largely southern European countries, related to the transfer of methodology and problems of introducing new technologies into telecommunication networks. We've also accepted, or shall I say the other European countries have accepted, and they are the smaller countries of both East and West Europe, Mediterranean countries as well, which will look to Malta in respect of the next round of exchanges on financial and investment issues. There will be a workshop here in early November this year. We have been active in promoting new methods in planning of networks as telecommunication networks go digital, which I said earlier is largely a series of bit streams. As telecommunication networks are driven more and more by computer technology, then the whole approach to planning and management of networks has to undergo change, and we have various software tools in the ITU which we are now sharing and seeing shared between countries through various training sessions and forums which we organise.
One last question, Mr. Butler. What new developments in telecommunications is the ITU foreseeing for the immediate future?
Well, I think the immediate future is to get the right policy decisions being taken in more and more countries. I think it's come to be recognised that without advanced telecommunication, many countries will not achieve their national planning objectives. The Independent Commission for Worldwide Telecommunication Development indicated so far as to say that no project of development whatsoever could achieve its objective or even of a reasonable past standard, if I might say so, without adequate attention being provided for the information flows to support it. And of course information flows in today's world is through a modern telecommunications system.
Mr. Butler, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you all.
Very good. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Mr. Butler.
Fine.
Thanks.
This is some
Point?
these were some points.
Yes.
Were in fact in the press release.